And last but not least, John Peterson, Economic Development.
Good morning. As Mark said, I'm John Peterson. We did, Group 7, Goal 8. A number of committee members are here today. Kathy Breland, Stoffer, Amy was, I don't think he was here. Ron Anderson, myself. As with everybody, we've met a number of times over the past several months. Looking at this, we went through and reevaluated and ranked the action items of these things. And what we're finding is that much of what has been said here earlier today leads us right into it, where we want to be. It's kind of the disadvantage of being last, but the advantage of being last is that somebody else has probably made a better case for what you're trying to tell. As such, we did rank, and we did find that Objective 8.1, which was the guide economic development efforts by a strategy and city staff report, we found to be of the higher priority. Although we did find that 8.2 as well, develop Buellton as a known visitor destination within the San Ynez Valley in its own right, has a great deal of importance. And so what we did, we went through and did rank them, and we did do a certain amount of rewording to the action items, particularly on 8.1.1, which was our first choice. The establishment of the Economic Development Director, that it be a contract position versus a city staff position, and this be done in partnership with other stakeholder entities and organizations within the community. As it states here, the Economic Development Task Force, the Buellton Chamber of Commerce, and others as we become part of a backup organization to that office. Excuse me. It is the opinion of the subcommittee that the implementation of 8.1.2, that being the Economic Development and Tourist Strategy, should be the responsibility of the Economic Development Director with, again, the input from the community stakeholders. In our revisions, we did add the attracting, retaining, and expanding business, which is something of the mantra of economic development, and in the support of the people of Buellton, and attach the zip code to that, since our economy, while it is focused on the city of Buellton and the actual physical limitations of the city or limits of the city, it does extend out some distance. And so we have to look at this as an area. On to 8.2.2, special events. Number of groups have discussed this, and we equally feel this is a very important component, creating a special events committee to look at this. And so the fact that it is ranked third in our four certainly does not mean that we don't feel it's important. Finally, the Tourism Business Improvement District, a slight change to the language in that to continue to function well and to continue in its present operation. Economic Development Director. As you can tell, this is very much where we put our greatest emphasis. We do make the recommendation that a position of Economic Development Director be created within our community. As you heard Judy and Carrie both speak to, as well as others, there's very much a case for doing this. As part of this, we considered our own experiences with economic development directors. We considered the goals, objectives, and tasks associated with the position, and we'll show some of those to you in a moment. We looked at the key points of the job description and formed such a list. But most importantly, we looked at the needs of the Buellton economy and considered those, and ultimately we came to agree that an aggressive economic development effort is critical, and it needs to be directed by an autonomous professional in order that it can tap into the resources with the various communities. Obviously, the city is a lead agency in this, but we have other entities that can contribute. Key elements of the Economic Development Director. This is a long-term commitment. This is, in our estimation, a full-time professional position. A number of us have asked or suggested that the city fund programs here today. We recognize that we're all in difficult budget times. If it were a few months or a year ago, we'd be talking about drawing money from redevelopment agencies and the funds there. That is a little indefinite at this point. The costs are going to be significant, but it's critical that the city and partners are fully bought into this process and that the city reaches a level of commitment that this is going to be a multi-year process. The planning and preparation to embark on this effort will be far more extensive than what we're going to outline here today. Hence, our comments on this are in much the start of the process, the first step on the path. The clear lines of authority and understanding of who is in charge must be in place, and the short-term and long-term goals and objectives must be agreed upon and outlined before we step any further into this. Position summary. Engaged as a contract consultant, general direction, entities that would participate, among others perhaps. Excuse me. We are recommending that this again be a professionally recruited economic development director. Selection based on experience and previous results. Think, if you will, of the process of recruiting a city manager. We're looking for skills very much that are provable and measurable by past performance. We are recommending that the position not be a city staff position. Critical to this position will be the ability to plan, organize, and administer programs and to develop strategies. Participation and support of related agencies will be a role of this. Those strategies including business attraction, retention, and expansion. It is a critical component of economic development. Job creation, promotion of tourism. Participating in and supporting other entities, because economic development does not stand alone within one single community. It is connected to our neighbors, local, regional, even state basis. Quick list of examples of duties, and they range widely. They can run from mentoring and assisting businesses with such things as permitting to recruiting new businesses, acting as the ombudsman for businesses, participating with the city, other departments within the city on projects, a certain amount of analysis of data. There's a lot of it out there, but very often trying to boil that information down to a point where it's usable on a local level can be very daunting. And ultimately reporting to the city and other agencies, giving them information that is useful to their expansion. So ultimately, it is a question of a commitment on the part of the city. It is a question of being fully vested into the process. It's the understanding that this is the manner of which obtaining the funding through tax bases, through TOT, sales tax, which is going to go a long ways toward funding many of the things that we've been talking about here today. I acknowledge there are funding sources, and I believe Judy pointed out that, yes, there is grant money out there, but for the great deal of it, it is business generated. And as that part of it, economic development, I also like to mention that surrounding communities and regional levels, we are actually becoming one of the few municipalities that does not have an economic development dedicated person or position working on this. It's done a number of different ways. We on the committee look at this as a suggestion, a recommendation, and a urging of the city to say it doesn't have to be done in any one particular, there's a lot of ways to do this. This is our suggestion, but the most key and important point is it has to be done, and it needs to be done very soon. Thank you. Any questions?